Have you ever wondered whether the website you're on is reliable? Should you trust it? Well, there's a quick way to help you examine this in depth. The Sift test is an easy way to evaluate web content. Sift stands for Stop, Investigate the Source, Find Better Coverage, and Trace Claims back to their original context. Let's go through each of these steps in more detail. The first one is stop. When you first get to a website after clicking an interesting headline, hold back from actually reading the information. Instead, start to ask yourself some of these questions. What kind of material is this? When was it created? Who is the creator? And who published it? These questions will clue you in to step number 2. Investigate the source. This is the point where you begin to answer some of the questions from the previous step. Maybe you can look up who the writer is or the organization that published it is. You can't overestimate how important it is to know what it is you're reading before you sit down to actually read it. For instance, if you're reading an article about politics written by a political scientist, that's good information to know. Similarly, if you're reading a social media post about trans fats written by the CEO of a processed food company, that would also be good information to know. It's not as if the political scientist will always be right or that the CEO can't be trusted. Rather, it gives you good context on the knowledge and the reasons for the source. If you still can't figure out if you can trust this info, move on to step number 3. Find better coverage. Looking through more reliable material as you research will help you understand what the overall consensus is among multiple sources. This isn't to say that you have to agree with this consensus, but reading more about a topic from various sources will make it easier for you to make up your own mind. The last step is to trace claims, quotes, and media back to their original context. You have to be aware that the information on the web might not be represented in its full context. If the full story is not shared, this will shape the way you perceive it and whether you believe its conclusions. What if you're scrolling through Instagram and find a video of people arguing? Think about what happened before this discussion started. Who initiated the argument? Why does the video start and stop at these specific points? Now think about a photo of an apple that looks a little funny. People are sharing it to make a point about the positive effects of GMOs. Is this photo real or has it been doctored? There's a lot of sharing and reposting that happens online. Try to find the original source in order to determine its credibility. And that's the entire process. Evaluating web content for reliable information is easier using Sift. Stop, investigate the source, find better coverage, trace claims, quotes, and media back to their original context. If you need additional help, remember, you can always ask a librarian.